Kia ora, my name is Whareru Lysander and welcome to Oho Arcade Books. Tonight I want to talk about the first novel that I wrote in the Shadow and Soul series called Entwined. I wrote this book in 2008 to 2010 with my publishing editor and my proofreader Odelia Scari, back and forth over that time to write this book. And what I wanted to do was to take all that I'd learned up until that point in my life, in my own personal conscious awakening, and incorporate all that information into a novel to be able to someone to pick up that novel who'd never known anything about what I'd learnt, and be able to read that book from the cover to cover and get an understanding of all the information that I'd discovered from my own personal conscious awakening and get it in one book. What was I thinking, right? Now, remembering back to that process of writing this book, I mean, I wrote this book 13 years ago, man. I mean, I've read it a few times since, but it's really sad what happens to Buford Somerset, who is the main character in this book. Really sad what happens to him. He's a good soul, he's a good man, he's got a good heart. He's an English aristocrat that has night terrors as a child. These night terrors, he has his horrible dreams, wakes up and finds his bed surrounded by these cloaked figures with a certain disposition, shall we say. And he hits puberty and they're gone. No more nightmares, they're gone, right? When he gets to university, his first holiday at university, he goes to London to see his uncle. And there, of the breadcrumb of a ruse that sends him on an odyssey for almost 20 years of his life to try and find out who, why, and where these creatures came from, and why they haunted him, and why they came to him, what was going on, all these questions he wanted answered. So that odyssey plays itself out. He travels around the entire world, following clues. And what I did was relay information that I'd learnt and the places where the information came from, took the character there, took him to other places, and finally took him to Ethiopia and the Simeon Mountains, where he discovers the whole shebang and discovers not only the planet's history, his own history, and the galactic history of these beings and the galaxy in general. It's quite out there, but pretty cool. So this is a pretty full-on read for someone who doesn't know the information. Those people that do know the information and are familiar with it, you'll love it. You will love it. Trust me, you will love it. At the end of the book, I bring in Pablo Wairua. Pablo Wairua, his mother was Quechua from Bolivia, and his father was Tuhoi. And Tuhoi is from the Te Urariwa National Park region in North Island of New Zealand. Comes back to New Zealand, is drawn back here. He has his own little ruse, which you find out more about in Entwined and in United, the second book in the series, where his history is told to the reader as well. But back to Entwined. So Pablo learns to become a tohunga. A tohunga is a warrior priest, but so much more. I don't want to get into that right now, but so much more than a warrior priest. And this lineage of warrior priests came from a continent called Lemuria, which sunk beneath the into the Pacific Ocean, I should say. And so he becomes the planetary consciousness's protector. Now, Buford Somerset meets a rather nasty, not demise, but a very nasty incident happens to him. So Entwined, for me, writing this book was a massive undertaking, and there are some sources that I source in this book at the very end of it that I want to thank right now. Firstly, Virginia is seen in Sheldon Little, you are becoming a galactic human. David Icke, The Children of the Matrix. David Icke's Guide to the Global Conspiracy. Barbara Marciniak's Bringers of the Dawn. Barbara Marciniak's Earth. And finally, S.T. Robinson, Tohanga. These books were all fundamental to the creation of my book, Entwined. Or Harmon Sueno wrote through me, I should say, Entwined. Were essential for this process. And I am so grateful for all these authors, for their work, for their research. Truly helped me to fill in the parts where I wasn't able to elaborate further, and they gave me the ability to move forward with the book and to create it in the first place. So thank you all to those people. Matewa. Thanks for coming. Bye bye.